Hi everybody. This is going to be a video about graphing quadratic equations in standard form. So just a quick recap on what standard form is. It's one of our three forms for quadratic equations. It's probably everybody's least favorite form right now because it usually takes the most work to graph. Um, but basically, if you can plug numbers into an equation, you'll be fine. So just starting right off, standard form always looks like this. It's always going to say y equals some number times x squared plus, or maybe minus, bx, some number times just x, and then some number kind of floating over here by itself that we call c. So those values a, b, and c are just placeholders for what is actually going to be in the equation. So you could have an equation that looks like y equals negative 2x plus 4x, sorry, this should be x squared, plus 4x minus 7. So in this case, your a would be negative 2, your b would be 4, and your c would be negative 7. So the sign is an important part of it. The sign here is negative, so this is going to be negative 7, positive 4, so positive 4, and negative 2 is what's in front of the x squared, so that's our a value. So identifying those pieces will help us when we're graphing. So we'll just do a couple examples. So we're asked to graph this equation, negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 3. So one of the first things that I do is I always just kind of think of what the graph should look like. That way I can double check what it looks like at the end. So I know this is going to be a frowny face graph. I know it's going to be a frowny face graph because the leading coefficient is negative 2. So since it's a negative 2 in front of everything, since it's negative, I know it's going to be upside down. All right. Next thing I do is I need my axis of symmetry. So my axis of symmetry is going to show me the line that the graph is symmetrical across. So it's going to save me a lot of time, and it's also going to help me double check my points that I'm getting. So the equation for our line of symmetry is x equals negative b divided by 2a. So I usually write down my a and my b and my c over here. So a, b, c. So a in this case is negative 2. Because we got negative 2x squared. It's in front of the x squared. 4 is the number that's in front of the x, positive 4x. And then positive 3 is the c value. We won't really need it, but we'll write it down anyway. So let's just continue this on. Our axis of symmetry is at negative, so write negative, negative 2, sorry, negative 4. Negative b is negative 4. So, and then on the bottom we have 2 times negative 2, because our a is negative 2. And then on the top we have negative 4. We'll just simplify this. And then on the bottom we have 2 times negative 2, which is also negative 4. So a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So we know it's going to be positive. And then 4 divided by 4 is 1. So we know our axis of symmetry is going to be at x equals 1. So what I always do is I just kind of dot that in. Just kind of put some dots here. We know our axis of symmetry is going to be at the equation line x equals 1. So it looks like that. And then from here on out, all we're doing is we're just going to put values into a table for x and see what y happens to be at that particular point. Now, you could just put in any x's you want at all, but there's going to be x's that are going to make your life easier. The very first one that you should put in is the value of the axis of symmetry. So I want to put that one, I always put that one right in the middle. What? going to put that one on right in the middle. 1. So what's y when x is 1? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to erase this just to open up some room because I like to write it above. So I'm just going to go ahead and erase this stuff right here. I'm going to write this out kind of long the first time we do it. But let's see here. Y equals negative 2 times, we're saying x is 1. 1 squared plus 4 times 1 plus 3. Eventually you won't need to write this all out, but we'll just do this for now. So then we'll just simplify. Y equals, when x is 1, we get 1 squared. 1 squared is 1 times negative 2 is negative 2 plus 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3. So we get negative 2 plus 4 plus 3. What is that? Negative 2 plus 4 is positive 2 plus 3 gives us 5. So now we have a point at 1, 5. 1, 5 is right here. So there's 1, 5. And then it really doesn't matter what points you put in now, but I would put them kind of close to the point that you just did. Think of what points are going to be really easy. 0 is going to be the easiest point of all. I'm going to put 0 in. Right? So there should be some point on this graph that where x is 0. So let's put 0 into here. I'll erase this again. Now we really don't need to go through and write all this out, but what I do is I just record my values for each term. So negative 2 times 0 squared. 0 squared is 0 times negative 2 is still 0. 4 times 0 is still 0. So we got 0 plus 0 and then plus 3. So 0 plus 0 plus 3 is just 3. Boom. So then we get a point 0, 3 right there. Now, this vertical line that we drew, this dotted vertical line, that's our axis of symmetry, and we know it is. So if we have a point here at 0, 3, we're also going to have a point here. It's sort of evil twin. Maybe I'll color it red, just so we know it's kind of the evil twin. We know that we're going to have a point at 2, 3 as well. We're going to have a point at 2, 3. We don't even need to do the work. We don't really even need to plug in 2 in this equation. We know we're going to get 3. We need one more point to finish this, because right now it just looks like a V, and we know it shouldn't look like a V. So I'm going to pick one more point, maybe one to the right of this point on the right, or maybe one to the left of this point on the left. I don't usually like to put in negative numbers into my equation, but I'll do it anyway just to show you guys. So we'll erase this, and we'll see what y is when x is negative 1. So I'll write this one out. Y equals negative 2 times negative 1 squared, right? We're putting a negative 1 in for x, plus 4 times negative 1 plus 3. Then we're just going to go through and see what y is if x is negative 1. So let's see here. Y equals negative, well, let's think about this. So negative 1 squared, we have to do that first. We got to remember exponents come first before multiplication. So negative 1 squared means negative 1 times negative 1. Negative 1 squared is just 1. So we get 1 times negative 2, which comes out to still be negative 2. So that's cool. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. And then still plus 3 we got there at the end. So negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. Plus 3 gives us negative 3. So let's go ahead and plot that point in there. Negative 1, negative 3 right there. So there's that point. So we're going to get our last point just by finding this one, -1, -3, we're just going to find its evil twin. So I'm going to go, I see that it's 2 away from the axis of symmetry. So I'm going to go 2 to the right at the same height should be its evil twin. And now we have 5 points. Now we can see what that parabola looks like. So I'll go ahead and do my best to kind of show what that should be. Kind of got a shaky hand on my computer, so it doesn't look that great. But we can tell it's a parabola. And good news is it's a frowny face, just like we know that it should be. We already predicted that it should be a frowny face graph, so that's good. That's basically all the steps that we need to graph an equation in standard form. I went through that very, very slowly. I don't expect it to always take that long when you're graphing these, but if it needs to take that long, take that long. Don't worry about taking too much time. We're not going to do a ton of these. I'm not going to ever give you homework that's like, here, graph all 20 of these parabolas that are in standard form. It'll just be usually a few at a time. So take your time on these. Double check your work. Make sure your parabola is symmetrical. Make sure it has the right shape, be it frowny face or happy face. And just double check your work very carefully. All right. Thank you guys.